Welcome to a special edition of the Relentless CEO podcast. I'm your host, Adam Kifer. We have an amazing guest today, someone that I was really excited to get on the show. For a lot of us in the US, it may be a new name for you, but it will become a familiar one really fast. His name is Chatri Sityodtong, and Chatri is the founder and CEO of One Fighting Championship. So many of you guys are familiar with the UFC because it's been huge in America for years. One Fighting Championship actually is one of the biggest in all of Asia sports media outlet. They have put together an amazing cast of fighters for their roster and have absolutely been crushing it. They just signed a deal with Amazon, where Amazon Prime is now broadcasting all of their fights in the US, which is huge. And in this episode, we really take a deep dive not only into what makes One Championship different, but you guys know me, I like thinking from the perspective of a CEO. So I was really excited to pick Chatri's brain on, hey, how did you build this thing? Where did you start? And he has a very unusual and unique story of how he went from rags to riches, but in a very unique way. And I'm really excited for you to hear about that. And at the same time, we also talk about the quality of martial arts taught in the United States and some things that we need to see different for this industry to move forward. And if you've been following this podcast, my mission in life is to push the martial arts industry into the future. So it's really fun to talk to Chatri and talk to someone that not only owns his own chain of martial arts schools, but is the promoter for one of the biggest fight organizations on the planet. Enjoy the episode. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you guys soon. Chatri, so excited to have you on the show. I know we were talking before. I love your entrepreneur journey and sort of where you've come from to be able to form One Championship Fighting. And your story, I think, is super inspirational. I'd love for you to share about sort of how you came over to the U.S., went to Harvard Business School, and really some of the challenges you went through to get to where you are right now.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Adam. I'm pumped to be on the show. Where do I begin? I'll just give you a high-level short version. I'm a lifelong martial artist. I've been doing Muay Thai for 38 years. Grew up in Thailand as a kid. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 16 years. Wow. And it's my greatest passion in life. I'd say it's an obsession. I have a heavy travel schedule, but where I go, today I'm in LA, I find a local martial arts school and I train either Muay Thai or jiu-jitsu. It's this daily quest for perfection, which, as George St. Pierre says, there is no such thing as perfection. It'll never be reached, but it's this hunt for self-improvement that drives me as a martial artist and also drives me as a human being. It's something I learned through decades of training martial arts. Long story cut short, I grew up as a child, as a kid, in a well-to-do home until my father experienced financial difficulties and then eventually went bankrupt and then abandoned the family.
Wow.
And then so we went from well-to-do to poor to no home, no car. My mother and I and my younger brother, surviving. And in the Asian culture or Thai culture, the oldest son becomes a patriarch. And so it's my responsibility to take care of my mother and my younger brother. And I had to figure out a way not only to pay for my way to America, or back to America rather, and emigrate there permanently, but then also figure out a way for me to pay for school, figure out a way for me to pay for my younger brother's school fees, and then eventually get my mother over. Long story cut short, we lived on one meal a day. My mom came to live with me in my dorm room. We had a small little I had a tiny little dorm room, a single dorm room, and she slept on the bed and I slept on the floor. And we survived on $4 a day. It was very, very, very tough times, very, very bleak. And one of the most kind of, I think, heartbreaking things of the whole thing was my mom was born in 1947, and so she grew up in an era where, as a woman, you did housework. You were a wife. You were a great mother, and that was your end of the bargain. And the husband would go out and make the money. And my mom fulfilled all of her obligations and then some, as a wife, as a mother. And she'd never worked a day in her life outside of the home. I mean, she worked all day, at home. And so when my father abandoned us, she had no resume, no career, no skills for the workforce, and that was, just eye opening. And I wasn't ready to become a patriarch. I just wasn't. At the same time, it is ingrained in Thai culture. At some point, the oldest son always takes care of his parents and family and et cetera. And so that was just my time. And, when I was dirt poor, struggling on one meal a day, and I couldn't afford the subway or the bus, I walked everywhere. This was during school. I just thought naively that if I make a lot of money, I'll be able to alleviate all of my mom's suffering and all the problems will go away. So I never really thought deeply about, what's going to make me happy. And of course I did think about those kind of things, but not at a really deep rooted level that, hey man, it's better to live your life fulfilled and happy than making a boatload of money and not being fulfilled and happy. I was very practical. When you're very poor, you just get very practical.
Sure.
And then, long story cut short, I started a company while I was in school and eventually went to Silicon Valley, raised $40 million in venture capital, sold the company, went on to Wall Street, where I also eventually launched my own $500 million global hedge fund. And when I was 35 or 36, I was alone at a sushi a restaurant for lunch, and it just hit me really hard. Like, I'm not happy, and I'm actually miserable. I'm actually depressed. Like, I have all the external rewards we're supposed to get, right? And that's when I realized, man, I'm living society's definition of success. I have the suit and the necktie, which I hate. I have the houses and the cars and the material things, which I don't really care about. I'm not a very materialistic guy. But I kind of justified materialism in my life because it was filling a hole in my heart because I clearly wasn't happy as an individual. And it got me thinking many weeks of sleepless nights. And I realized, I have to do something I truly love as opposed to continue this path of collecting more zeros on my paycheck and or my income, and think about what is it that I want to do in my life. And during this whole time, I'm training in martial arts. It's my favorite time of the day. Even today, it's gonna be the best 2 hours of my day is still martial arts training,
Yes.
even to this day. And at the same time, I saw, I lived over 18 years in the U.S., and I realized being here that the sporting culture is actually, sporting properties are huge here, huge. They're part of it, obviously part of the culture, but NFL is worth $100 billion, NBA is worth $70 billion. And then when I looked over at Asia, there was literally nothing. There's no sports properties in Asia, especially on a Pan-Asian basis. So I thought naively, I'm going to go back to Asia. I'm going to build Asia's first global sports property. There's 4.2 billion people there. How hard can it be? It's martial arts. The birthplace of martial arts, is Asia, 5,000-year history. I'm a lifelong martial artist. And, I was totally wrong. The first 3 years, complete disaster. Lost millions of dollars. Got rejected thousands of times by broadcasters, brands, governments, investors. Everyone thought it was a stupid idea. They're like, Asians don't need a sports property. We already have EPL or Champions League on TV or NBA or F1. Why would we need another sports property? It's just a stupid idea. It was just, rejection after rejection, 3 years straight, and no TV ratings to speak of. And I really wonder what the hell I was doing with my life. Obviously I love martial arts, but I thought, man, this is like the worst torture I'd ever been through. And I called my mom at the end of year 3, and she was very adamant about me not starting this business. She wanted me, in her eyes, being on Wall Street, wearing a necktie, a suit and necktie, having nice offices, and the prestige and the title. That's what she's a traditional Japanese lady. And So I called her and I said, Mom, I'm thinking about shutting down one. I it's going nowhere, and I'm getting my ass kicked and all that stuff. And then my mom didn't even try to fight me. She just said, okay, Chatri, then why don't you just quit? And I was shocked. Like, I was like, what? How come she knows I love this, and she was against me even starting this. And then after we hung up, I was kind of like, what the hell? Like, but mom knows how to do reverse psychology. At the time I didn't think of it that way, but it was. Then after thinking about it for a few hours, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to quit. I love this. This is what I was born to do. I love martial. What am I going to do after? I don't want to go back to a life of counting my money, investing. It just wasn't my calling. It wasn't in me. And then I just started thinking about it. I'm like, I want to do this. This is what I really want. And if you look at the history of the last 11 years, 'cause I started the company 11 years ago, and you chart the trajectory of social media usage and the rise of smart mobile devices, it's literally, they went obviously exponential last 11 years. The digital economy became truly connected all over the world, where you could put out a piece of content and it could go viral and millions of fans around the world. It's a democratic movement. So then I think we had like a few months left of cash, and I said, I'm going to bet the whole farm on social media, putting out great videos of our events, highlights and knockouts and whatnot. And the content just took off, and we had millions of fans. And then I went with that data and showed broadcasters, and broadcasters were like, wow. And then, step by step. And today we're broadcast live in 179 countries every week, every Friday. And our broadcast partners are the biggest broadcast partners around the world. In the US, it's Amazon Prime. In Brazil, it's Globo. In the Middle East, it's Bein Sports. In Africa, it's Supersport. In Australia, 7 Network. And these are literally the biggest broadcasters in their respective regions or countries. In China, Tencent. And the list goes on. And in Japan, Abima TV. So it's surreal. I've been getting a lot of media interviews today. It's basically because that's what I'm here in the States for the last week or so, ahead of our big U.S. debut, which is next Friday on May 5th.
I'm excited for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I am pumped. But so my feelings, I was explaining to in a prior interview. They'd asked me, how do I feel? And it's a surreal feeling. At the same time, I'm full of gratitude to be here. Coming back full circle to America. The U.S. gave me that opportunity, the American dream. I lived the American dream. I went from a suitcase with all of my life's belongings, and it gave me the opportunity. If you work hard, only in America, if you work hard, do good, and do right, you can get far.
Yes.
And it gave me the opportunity, and that's why I'm so full of gratitude to come back to the States now, have our very first on-ground event live next Friday, May 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Amazon Prime. 3 world title fights. We are bringing the entire world of martial arts to America. American fans are in for a huge treat. They've never seen anything like it because nothing like that exists in America. Obviously,
Agreed.
Asia is the birthplace of martial arts, 5,000-year history. There is authenticity to it. U.S. has recently become a mixed martial arts country, like in very recent history.
Yes.
The last several years, if you think about, when it's really hit mainstream status. So I think we have the very best of the best world championship martial artists across all the various disciplines, whether it's mixed martial arts or kickboxing or Muay Thai or submission grappling, and the list goes on. And it's the Olympics of martial arts, right? We gather the very best world champion martial artists from all disciplines around the world, and then compete under different rule sets. And so it's just and our shows are full of fireworks, electricity, and just all this kind of like high production value. It's almost like a cross between a big hip hop concert or a BTS concert mixed in with an Olympic event, and so American fans are going to be in for a real treat. And for me, it's surreal. I feel like I'm on some kind of weird alternate universe. Once upon a time, I lived in America and I was dirt poor, and here I am introducing martial arts to America.
Yeah, and you're doing it in a really different way than what we're used to seeing in America, because obviously the UFC is just like pretty much strict MMA. What I love about one is you guys are embracing multiple arts. You're doing things differently, like the Johnson Radtong fight. That fight where it was like Muay Thai, then MMA. Like I was so hyped up for that fight because we had never seen it before. It was something brand new.
Yeah,
and then your guys' first event in America, the card is absolutely stacked. And I know you're saying you guys have 3 championships. You have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you have Muay Thai, you have MMA. Johnson's fighting the only guy that's knocked him out in his career, which is that's worth watching alone. And the previous 2 fights were action-packed as well. I like Angla is like one of my favorite guys on this card, and I know he's not one of the main 3.
He's a beast.
But his story and just man, that guy's grit and determination and how calm he is, even when he's in the worst positions, is really fun to watch. So
people don't realize he is like Michael Jordan in Myanmar, 54 million people. When he goes back, literally, tens of thousands of people will show up at the airport if they heard that he's at the air, if he's arriving. He cannot walk without bodyguards in the country. There's a huge statue of him erected, by the government. It's insane. He is like a rock star, like a literal rock star. He just cannot walk around without him. He's he's the greatest national hero of any kind for the country of Myanmar.
His whole story is amazing. How he fought an undefeated fighter, right, in Myanmar. Is that correct? So that whole story is great. Radtong is ridiculous. That guy's half crazy, I think. When I was watching his fights, the first time I saw him fight, I don't even remember who he was fighting, but he was just eating the punches on purpose and then started punching himself in the face. And I was like, if that's not MMA entertainment, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I agree.
So you've done a great job stacking the card.
So that's what I mean. You hit the nail on the head, Adam. It's again, we're bringing something so fresh, so new, so differentiated from anything that exists in the market that American fans are just going to be wowed and hooked. I mean, we're bringing the world to America. That's the best way to describe it. It's almost like probably the first time if the first time you ever tasted a cheeseburger, it's something like that. Like you don't know what you're missing until you have it, right? Yes. It's like that.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. And I know that one of the things that I love, I heard an interview talking about your mission with one, which I haven't heard really any other sports organization talk about their mission and having a specific purpose besides making money. Can you talk a little bit about your mission with one and sort of even what your goal is over the next 5 to 10 years with bringing one to America and making it more prominent here?
Yeah, sure. So it was very easy to just figure out, when you start a business, just make money. But, I was empty when I was on Wall Street making money. So I really wanted a mission that resonated with my entire love for martial arts. But at the same time, I always wanted to align my work, who I am, and somehow making it a positive impact on the world. This has always been very important to me ever since I was a kid. It probably started subconsciously because my mother used to say, even when I was a 5-year-old kid, she said, Chatri, you're going to grow up to help the world. And I thought, man, every mom thinks her kid is the best, is going to say crazy stuff like that. Chatri, you're going to grow up to help people. These, literally, I remember those words growing up all the time. Chatri, you're going to grow up to help people. You're going to help the world. You're special. But of course, I'm like, this is just mommy gibberish. Every mom does this, probably their son. But because of those words, it somehow left an imprint on me subconsciously or consciously, or not to sound corny, but, on my soul. And so the mission of one is to unleash real life superheroes who ignite the world with hope, strength, dreams, and inspiration. And that has been the ethos, that has been the mission since day one. And we do it through values, heroes, and stories. Values that, families can celebrate with their kids and grandkids. Heroes who genuinely inspire entire countries and the world. And their stories of triumph over impossible odds, tragedy, poverty, adversity, whatever it may be. To inspire humanity, right? To dream more, do more, and be more in life. And when you look at the news and social media today, everything is negative. Death, destruction, war, rape, murder. Social media it's always people's fake best lives that make you feel bad about yourself. There's so much negativity out there, and I my team and I, we now realize we have a huge voice in the world, and we can influence the next generation. We can influence pop culture, society, and we want to use it for good. We want to elevate humanity. And I know it sounds corny, but if you think about it, what are the biggest influencing factors for kids growing up? Okay, yes, their parents, and yes, school. But beyond that, it's their favorite hip hop artist. Yep. It's their favorite, athlete. It's music, sports, and entertainment. And so I realized the deep response, my team and I realized our deep responsibility we have to the whole world, given that, again, we are, according to Nielsen, when Nielsen came out with the industry report about a year ago, naming the top 20 largest sports media properties by viewership and engagement. And we are number 5 across TV, digital, social, etc., organic video views and unique viewership numbers. And I was very surprised by our ranking. First of all, I didn't realize we were top 20 in the first place. I knew we were growing very fast. I knew the content was going nuts on TV as well as on social and digital, but I had no idea that we were amongst. I think NBA was number 4. That scale, just to show you, NBA is 70, 80 years old, and we're only 11 years old, right? So, but that means we have a huge responsibility. It means, and that's why I love the fact that our mission has not changed since day one. It's literally about heroes. It's literally about igniting the world with hope, strength, dreams, and inspiration. And I get to do it doing what I love most. I love martial arts. It's my obsession. It's my passion. But I'm able to show the world the beauty of martial arts, and yet I'm able to do it in a way that elevates humanity. Inspires our fans, inspires our athletes, just to do bigger things for themselves and for the world.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I really love about your guys' mission is I believe one championship is a bit more family friendly than the other fight organizations out there. Like, I don't want my 7-year-old watching a Conor McGregor trash talk fest on TV, even though I love Conor McGregor. But I can show him the same combos that he's learning when he's training martial arts and learning Muay Thai. I can show him a one fight, and he can see all of that without all of the extra stuff, which is, I think, really, really appealing. And we have a large audience of martial arts school owners that listen to this podcast. And one of the things that they always, or one of the reasons they like to shit on mixed martial arts is they like it's too violent, too trash talk type stuff. But this is sort of a different angle that you guys are approaching, where I feel like you're keeping a lot of the respect and the honor that is part of traditional martial arts, but innovating as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think Adam, it sounds like you've really done your homework, or that you really understand, or you are a martial arts, but also a fan of one. You really understand. I mean, you're absolutely right. You see, I think trash talking is fine, but it should be on the attributes of the competition or the fight. Sure. Meaning that you're scared, I'm going to knock you out, you have no cardio, your kicks are weak, you have no ground game. But the minute it transcends into, I'm going to kill your children, or I'm going to or I'm going to have sex with your wife, or your religion, that's when you start, it's just, so you make a buck, but you did it with corrupt values and morals, and for me, as a lifelong martial artist, that stuff doesn't represent martial arts. The beautiful technique does, but more than that, it's what have I learned? What have we learned, Adam, through thousands of hours of training? It's the discipline, the integrity, it's the humility, it's the honor, it's the grit, the resilience, the warrior spirit. It's a quest for constant, continuous improvement. So many beautiful lessons and values and morals that the martial arts, embodies and its practitioners inherit. And that's what I wanted to showcase. I want to say, yes, you have the baddest men and women world champion fighters in one, but they are exemplary role models for the world, and they truly exemplify the Bushido spirit of martial arts, the the character building qualities of martial arts that, why do millions of parents send their kids all over the world to martial arts schools? Yes, it's to bully proof them and teach them fighting skills, but parents do it more importantly to help their child develop life skills like work ethic or goal setting or patience or determination or discipline. That's why you're walking down the street, it's kids are in martial arts schools. It's because of those reasons. So I think one is the DNA of one. Obviously, we are the home of martial arts and Asia is the birthplace. But I think the DNA and the ethos of one is what makes it extremely unique and differentiated from anything that exists in America.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that too, because I love that you're keeping that intact with martial arts. I know you also own martial arts schools, Evolve MMA, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know how much you've gotten to see the U.S. martial arts industry, which is a pretty tiny industry. But is there anything that you see? Because I have a lot of beef with the martial arts industry in the U.S. of things we can do better. But is there anything that you have seen in the U.S. martial arts industry, like schools-wise, that you think just needs to be changed for the better to progress the industry as a whole?
Yeah. Okay. So again, I lived here for over 18 years, and wherever I travel all over the world all the time because of my crazy work schedule. But everywhere I travel to, the beautiful things I train. I go to a Muay Thai gym or a jiu-jitsu school and I train. And one thing that has really inspired me with all my travels around the world is how the martial arts community, irrespective of what martial arts you do, is actually a real amazing brotherhood and sisterhood, a real vibrant community of passionate, doers and thinkers and it's really inspiring. What makes American martial arts schools different? Okay, so I'm not gonna group all martial arts schools in America in this bucket, but there are some schools that I've been to that are meathead schools, meaning that the testosterone level is so high that if you're a new practitioner,
Chatri, you're breaking up just a little bit there.
Okay. Can you?
Now you're good. Yep.
Okay. If you walk, not every, I don't want to stereotype all martial arts schools in America. There are a lot of amazing schools here. But there are some schools that are what I call meathead schools, where the owner somehow thinks that intimidating people and creating that culture of intimidation and testosterone is quote unquote martial arts, because that's what you see in the UFC. And so when I go to those gyms that spar, like people are trying to knock you out. Like it's just like a very negative atmosphere.
Ego-based.
You go to Thailand, which has the world's greatest strikers, and sparring is like a fun thing, and it's a playful thing. It's never to knock out your partner. I mean, so they're all, again. I don't want to stereotype or oversimplify things. America has amazing martial arts schools. Just some schools I've been to are a little bit too testosterone driven, and not thinking about. And again, it may be because the school owner might be a former athlete, former fighter, and brings that kind of like energy to this school. But I think one important thing that all school owners should think about is, how can you be a pillar to the community? How can you serve the families by helping not only the parents to get into the best shape of their lives and learn new skills and unlock their potential as adults, human beings, but also how to help mold children. Because when you start from a place of serving others and you start from a place of using martial arts as a tool to unleash potential in other people, that's when you become a pillar, if you're in a small town or a city or a community. And that's, for me, the beauty and the real purpose of martial arts. Yes, you're going to help your students develop unbelievable self-defense skills and real life, lethal abilities. But that is very surface level. Somebody's not going to be a loyal student to you, or want to be part of your school because you have the best kick. they're gonna be part of your school because you have the best kick, and more importantly, you care about them. That you care about imparting knowledge, but wisdom and values of martial arts to them. So that's what I would encourage every martial arts school owner is to think of themselves, or try to aspire to be pillars of the community, and start from a service mindset. How can I serve families to help them unleash their greatness, unlock their potential, whether it's health, fitness related, bullying related, and life skills related?
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because we coach a lot of martial arts schools and helping them with both the business side, but also the curriculum. And one of the things that I've been having a moral issue with is just seeing a lot of watered down curriculum that doesn't really have a good end result. And one of the things that we really focus on at our school is having every kid or student be capable of violence, but not violent, in a sense where if they need to protect their family, they need to protect themselves, they can put their hands up, they can punch, kick, whatever they need to do to defend themselves and get away. Where we're seeing a lot of schools now that I think have gotten over commercialized in the US, to the sense that they're life skill focused, and that part is great, but then the actual martial art quality of what they're teaching is just not there.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's a very important topic you've hit upon, and I agree with you. I've been to many martial arts schools all over the world where the owner has become too profit minded and not living and operating out of a place of authenticity. And that's why I said serving. When you have a service mindset, it changes everything. You say, okay, I want to serve this family or this student or whatever it is. And versus I want to make money off of them. When you serve somebody, you say, okay, look, they're paying for martial arts skills. And every day as a lifelong martial artist, you should be asking them, am I imparting them with real knowledge or false confidence, okay? And I'm not going to name which arts, but we all know those arts where you can get a black belt in a year and a half,
yes.
Okay? And children getting black belts when they're 8 years old. Why is that very detrimental to families and children? And it's very detrimental because you have a false sense of confidence. You don't really have any martial arts skills or abilities. You have a belt that you have faith and confidence in, but your skills are actually not there in real life. A lot of martial arts schools are guilty of this all over the world. And I just don't believe in the long run, if you're fooling your customers, that you will succeed. You might make a buck or two, in the short run, but in the long run, because you are doing a disservice to your students, and you're making fake hamburgers instead of using real beef, you're using, I don't know, like lizard or something like, I don't know, like you can get away with for so long. So that is one of my disappointments that I do see, like how some martial arts used to be unbelievable and today are literally no different than ballet, meaning that if you send your child to ballet classes for 3 years and you send the same child to XYZ school and gets a black belt in 3 years, if you send two different kids rather, and then you say, okay, you now go in a street fight, there is no difference between the ballet student and the martial arts student, right?
Yep.
You're gonna still get knocked the fuck out, right? And that is a sad thing, because then it means for 3 years you've wasted this kid's life, and you've given false confidence. And false confidence is terrible. In a real fight, you better know your goods, because if you don't know your goods, you get exposed right off the bat.
Yes.
And that's what I love about jiu-jitsu. That's what I love about Muay Thai is both arts, at least the way I've been raised in it, right, are very, very effective real life self-defense arts. If you're competent in Muay Thai, you will be able to beat 99% of untrained people, irrespective of size. If you're competent in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. Jiu-jitsu is more geared toward one-on-one situation.
Sure.
Muay Thai, of course, is effective in one-on-one too, but it's a lot easier to fight, multiple attackers, two or three standing up than on the ground. On the ground, it's very dangerous. On the ground is if you're in the guard with one person, his friend can kick you in the head like a soccer ball, and you'll be out, right? Yeah. So, but I train both. I'm pretty good at both, and that gives me a lot of confidence, right? But I know it's real, and so at Evolve, I have a chain of martial arts schools in Asia. The thing I tell when I train our instructors, right? I'm the head instructor, so I train our instructors, and I always say, the first thing, okay, these are the 4 principles I think that are very important. First is safety.
Agreed.
Because you are expert instructors, you should never have a serious injury in class. If you do, it has to be a freak accident. What happens once in a gazillion years, or if it does happen often, that means you're a lousy instructor. Number 2, you have to teach real technique. Real technique means something that will work in real life, that the knowledge is imparted and the skills and the technical details are imparted such that your student can actually apply that in real life. Third is to give them a great workout, because in a world where everyone has so little time, you want to be able to compress knowledge with working out so that there's a productive use other than just knowledge gain. And the fourth is you want to have a fun time. Those are kind of the 4 ways to think about a class structure. I mean, beyond the curriculum. Of course, the curriculum you have to nail. But for me, those are what I ingrain into our instructors.
I think you're right on with everything you just said. I grew up doing Hapkido and Tang Sudo as a kid because my parents owned a martial arts school. My first time I did jiu-jitsu was probably the most humbling experience of my life, because I went in there as a black belt, as an adult already, and I was like, oh, I've been training my whole life. And you get tapped like 8 times in 3 minutes. It humbles the hell out of you really quick. Same with Muay Thai as well. You were right on with everything you just said. I wanted to ask you one quick thing that I get asked all the time. I'm just interested in your answer. I know you train like 6 days a week, BJJ, Muay Thai. You're running a giant, massive company. You have your martial arts chains as well. Everyone always asks me, where do you find the time to keep training consistently? So I want to ask you the same question. How do you prioritize that to make sure it continuously happens?
Okay. So every day I block off 2 hours before before my assistant is allowed to book any meetings. She blocks off the 2 hours of day that my training. By the way, everywhere I go, okay, when I'm on the road, when I'm in Tokyo, when I'm in London, New York, wherever, LA, doesn't matter what city. She has it automated. Because she knows that's my sacred time for myself. And it's very important to do that because, if you are a busy business owner or a busy executive, it's very easy to get swept away by your own schedule and not prioritize. You could be very busy doing things, but not doing things that move you in the right direction. So it's a commitment to yourself. And quite frankly, if you love it, it's very easy to commit, right? But there are days that I don't want to train. There are definitely days when I'm exhausted because I didn't get enough sleep or whatever it is. And I will forgive myself, or I'll go for a lighter workout, like I'll go for a lighter roll, or I'll do less rounds or something like that. But I like to keep my brain active. So even if let's say a day I'm resting, I will spend an hour watching YouTube instructionals, for a jiu-jitsu technique I'm trying to figure out or something. I'm always curious, right? Always trying to learn. And that way my mind is active on it. You have to prioritize. So you block off your day. So if let's say you're a busy executive and you have a family, you have to literally say from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is my family time. I'm going to have dinner with my kids and hang out with them and put them to bed. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. is my training time. However you want to structure your day, but you have to be very deliberate and very conscious about it. Otherwise, actually nothing is worse than a martial arts school owner who's fat and lazy.
Agreed.
And doesn't train, right? It's like, okay, what the, you should be living and breathing what you're teaching. And that's why I do what I do as well. I mean, there's obviously I love what I do, but I also realize, hey, I'm a CEO of a $1 billion sports global property that focuses on fighting. Like, I better know my shit. Like, I'm not going to be one of these fat, out of the shape guys who knows nothing about martial arts and talking out of my ass. Like, no, you have to be authentic and legit and all that stuff. And so, of course, that crosses my mind from time to time. But what really does drive me is love, and what keeps me going is just prioritizing and being disciplined about it.
Yeah, self-defense 101 is run away, right? If you're a fat, lazy school owner and you can't even do the most basic thing, which is run away, you got some major issues going on.
Yes, then you got some major issues. Yes.
So we're super excited that you are going to Denver for the first in the U.S. Fight that you're doing. Do you guys have plans to do more in the U.S. and expand your footprint here?
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is the very beginning of our U.S. expansion. Amazon is very happy with our numbers. We have discussions going on how to expand and broaden and deepen the partnership. So let's see what happens. But because I can't announce anything right now, but we have big plans for the U.S. market. We want to be at least a minimum of 12 live events on ground a year, a minimum of, we've been building our U.S. team. We have a U.S. team in New York, both New York and L.A. And I'm super excited. But again, like the number one or the two words I could just say is like, it's surreal. And at the same time, I'm full of gratitude. It's a mixed. It's two feelings that don't necessarily always go together, right? You never have this sense of things are very surreal and yet you're grateful. It's like.
Agreed.
But So.
Well, yeah, we're so excited for it. I'm actually flying out for the fight. It's the first in-person.
Awesome.
Yeah, first in-person like professional
Amazing.
MMA fight I'm going to. So I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
And we wish you guys the best of luck with the event. Yeah, I know it's going to be amazing, and can't wait to experience it in person for the first time. It'll be a blast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Chatri. Appreciate you.
We're unstoppable. To the top, we about to go. The CEO, I need to know the impact we about to grow. Competition comical. Straight A1, we on the road.